All right. So, first of all, I have to say, Deborah, I am a huge fan. I have been reading your emails, and some of them speak to me like spot on. So I'm sure I'll reference a couple of those. But I want to welcome you to our community. We've got a great community of women who are smack in the middle of your, where you work best. So
The middle.
welcome. Yeah,
Yeah.
right in the middle.
Thank you so much for having me and for the great introduction. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, I have even more of an introduction to you because I wanted to read your bio, but your bio is paragraphs long. So you're very, very, I know you are, you've done so much over the period of time that you've been working and like really making your material accessible. That's like the key word, right? So
Yeah.
I've condensed it down. If I miss anything, let me know. But I think I've hit some high points here, and you helping out with that one. So, Deborah Atkins is a hormone balancing fitness expert and has helped more than 275,000 women flip their second half with energy and vitality. So she's a best-selling author of You Still Got It, Girl. That's the After 50 fitness formula for women. And then Hot Not Bothered, love the name. And Deborah also hosts Flipping 50 TV and internet broadcasts and the Flipping 50 podcast, which is actually an AARP top podcast for adults 50 plus with over 3.5 million downloads. And she means fitness business, specifically for health and fitness coaches. She's had a TEDx talk with everything women in menopause learned about exercise. That may be a lie, very relevant. And she's also the creator of the first and only hormone balancing fitness membership exclusively for women in menopause, and the Flipping 50 Menopause Fitness Specialist Training, which is specifically for trainers and health coaches. So that's a lot. That's a mouthful. But I'm ready to get started. And I want to say that we kind of narrowed it down a lot to like the menopause aspect. But what I'm really excited to talk about today is actually the program, the programs that you have and the new summit that you have coming up, which is like a no-brainer. So that's kind of where I want to focus today. Sound good?
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. Well, so first of all, I think because you're a lot of times there's a lot of exercise gurus out there. So what I really want to kind of what I really want to hone in on is that when you and I were talking a few weeks ago, I had said to you, what took me 3 weeks 30 years ago took me actually 6 months,
Mhm.
like in the last year, to kind of just really move to exactly where I want it to be in just feeling like I was making progress. And I think that's the hardest thing, is that everybody thinks they're doing the right thing, but I'm not. I think that really proved to me that that is not the case. So
Mhm.
what is it about like midlife exercise that has to be so unique? And that's, yeah.
Such a great question. And I think we're really fortunate, although maybe still in a moment of frustration for anybody who is not exactly where they want to be right now and feels like I'm trying, I'm efforting, I'm doing the things, but I'm not sure what those things are yet. We're having a better conversation than we were 10 years ago. It is getting better. And yet when we see everything broaden, like there's more people talking about it, there's also more confusion. There's more of things that don't work as well as more of things that do work. And now it's
Right.
up to each of us to kind of filter through that. So hopefully by the end of today, what we will help you do is vet, how do I ask a good question? What should I be asking? How do I measure I'm actually making progress? And you've got more clarity on it. You may also have more questions, but that's not a bad thing. If
The key things that I'm pulling here are, redistribution of your body, of muscle mass, fat, where we store things like that. One of the key things is hormone, like reestablishing hormone balance, which a lot of people don't realize the magnitude of exercise and that the capability of that. And that in itself is also going to help not only your day-to-day life, but how you sleep, which is such a key thing for us. Then the other is not looking at the scale, but looking at how you feel, and everything else will happen the way it needs to happen, exactly how it should happen if we're on the right track. So on the right track is the key part for me right here, which is that where you start is key, right? So whatever that is. So, but before we go there, how do we know whether what we're doing is actually optimizing our health now, or maybe even later, like what we're doing now, is it really helping our future? Like, is there a measurement for that, or how do we do that for starters?
Yeah. So instead of those dumb scales that only look at weight, but you have
Mhm.
no idea, is that number that's going up and down that we can temporarily think, party, celebrate, I lost a few pounds. You
Mm.
have to know, did I lose muscle or
Mm.
did I lose only fat? And
Right.
here's the truth for those of us who are over 40, in our 50s, in our 60s, 70s. It's been going on for the longer time as we age. Whenever we've dieted in the past, and we've all done it, haven't we? I mean, I want to look good for prom or for
Yeah.
my wedding or for that reunion, and or I'm just sick of this and I want summer body. And we do things a little
Mm.
drastic in order to lose that weight. Whenever we've dieted in the past, we lost fat and a percent of muscle. And generally, the
Mm.
average percent of muscle is somewhere between 15 and 50.
Oh,
Other sources will say maybe only up to 40, but I've seen it be as high as 50%. So let's say you
really?
lose weight and it's half muscle, half fat. When we regain weight, and most of us do, we regain because we can't sustain the habits that got us the weight loss in the first
Yeah.
place. And we regain 100% fat. And you have to remember that everything in your brain and your body is signaling you to come back to that weight that you were at. Everything's
Yes.
working against you, especially if you did it fast and crash. The
Right.
slow
Right.
burn comes off. Nobody wants that. We want results yesterday to yesterday. And I get it, because when
Yeah.
you're fed up. But that cycle put us where we are now. And we also have the strike of hormones not playing well with us, and they're
Right.
making it easier to store fat. So we really have to kind of come back and say, really, I need to nurture my metabolism so it wants to burn fat. And right now, this is the mic drop for today. I'm an
Yeah.
exercise specialist, but let me tell you that there's two things I would tell you to do. And one, those of you who just don't like exercise, you have not bonded with exercise, and I really need to nurture you a little bit. Eat more protein. Don't change the number of calories you eat, but eat more protein. That alone is shown for women either pre-menopause or post-menopause to help fat burning. That's it. So there's no take it out, don't eat that. It's eat more protein, don't change your calories. Don't eat more calories, just the percent of things you eat, make it protein, quality protein. It increases your satiety level. It also makes it easier for you to gain, or at the very least maintain, lean muscle. You're probably not going to gain muscle by just eating protein unless you're stimulating it with exercise. But then the number two thing is lifting weights will be your best friend. First of all, to help it not be so confusing, the statement, something is better than nothing, has bothered me in this last decade just a little bit because I was always an
Mm,
advocate of that.
mm,
Let's make
mhm,
it accessible and let's get people started. But more and more, what I would see people doing, women in midlife doing, is walking a lot, and if walking 2 or 3 miles a day wasn't doing it, they would bump it up to walking 4 or 5 miles a day. But what they're doing is walking to exhaustion and maybe putting more time into something that doesn't
mhm,
actually help them gain lean muscle mass. And when we look at, we're not just talking now. It's not just about how many calories you burn. It's about, are we adding lean muscle tissue so that every move we make all day, because we're not exercising all day, 23 hours of the day. And I know we're not awake all of that time, but we're burning calories other ways. If
right.
we have more lean muscle mass, you and I sitting here together doing this is taking more energy. It's burning more calories sitting here if I have more lean muscle mass than if I didn't.
Oh,
And that's an important distinction. So every time you move, getting up, walking down the hall, going for a walk with the dog, exercise on purpose or just movement counts more.
hmm,
And what we've really found is there is a difference between movement. It all counts, but those who move more throughout the day, break up sedentary time, tend to have better blood sugar levels, better body composition overall. And it becomes one of the more important things right now. If you listen closely, a lot of influencers, and I'm not you have to be careful in social media, but many of them who are over 50, approaching 60 even, are talking about this factor that they used to do high intensity exercise.
mm.
Now they're walking and doing weights, and it's made all the difference. If you did those two things, you potentially would get 90% of the results.
Let's talk about what's valuable in life, right?
Mhm.
And so we were talking about just like what you do in giving you energy and helping hormones and things like that. But I have to tell you, my husband and I often talk about we're in our mid 60s. You have a birthday soon or had a birthday.
I, I'm coming into the same decade with you, so yeah, let me know how it is over here.
Right, right, right. Um, but one of the things that we always talk about is that I don't, I want to be just as strong as I am today or even 10 years ago, or I actually have a little bit of history like you do. I was really, really sick, but much earlier in my life. So I actually feel like as I get older, I have had different areas of my life where I've had the potential to feel better, feel stronger, feel more capable in living the life that I want to live,
Hmm.
not compromising it because of my chronological age.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that is important, right?
absolutely. And I think this is where, for all of us, it's a wake up call about,
Mhm.
we're here, or at this last, few months for me, so my birthday was like a week and a half ago, right? So as I approach 60, I mean, I love these, not because of the association with the age. I think I'm still like, this is not what I thought it was like. Like, I'm so young. Like, I thought everybody would be old when they got here, and I guess not. So I'm like, I don't really care. It's just like, really? Maybe there was a mistake. I was
Yeah.
miscalculated. But
Yeah.
it's those zero birthdays or five or whatever the pivotal thing is. A son gets married, something like that
Mm,
makes us think. It
mm,
takes an assessment to say, now I can see, like, 10 years from now, I'll be 70. Like, I don't know if I've been waiting to get in better shape, if I've been putting workouts off. Every day that you answer this question, pro or con, did you work out today? Did you move today? Every day we live, the answer to that question gets more and more weighty, right?
mm,
It's
mhm.
determining your future. So I think we want to make choices that are 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to optimize body composition, and never, ever, ever are we going to stop caring about how we look. So let that go. I mean, it's perfectly fine, because as long as you're making good choices, you look good now, you feel good, your skin starts glowing, your eyes are brighter, you'll get what you want now. And your 85-year-old self is going to thank you for it. So independence, strength, not falling, having good bone density. We have no longer, if you have osteoporosis, I think that's one of the very biggest concerns right now. And it just flips a switch if you get
Yeah.
that diagnosis, or you hear it and you're insulted
Yeah.
because what? I've been exercising. I eat
Mm.
healthy. I can't believe that with my life. So we take this very personally. And, still, I think we're not fragile. We used to
Right.
think 25 years ago, people with osteoporosis, we should bubble wrap you. I don't want you to move. I don't want you to bend. I don't want you to
Mm-hmm.
twist. And
Mm-hmm.
now realizing that the research last 7 or 8 years has actually been high intensity, high impact. We don't start there, everybody. We start here. We slowly progress sequentially and on purpose with criteria, knowing it's okay over time. But high intensity, we're talking weights that you fatigue is in 5 repetitions with, and high
Right.
intensity, having people do drop jumps. They're done with perfectly good adherence. People love them. The women doing them seem to love higher intensity more than they have other
Mm.
studies, but the injury rate has not gone up. There have not been great
Right.
injury rates. Nobody had a fracture in doing these things. And we've reversed bone losses by applying that. So
Mm.
it's an exciting time. It's less scary than it used to be. I know nobody wants to have to hear it, but
Right. It's a
here's
reality.
the sad truth is
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes it takes seeing it for us to take action.
I understand that. I've been practicing for 35 years in healthcare, and I do understand that. In fact, one of the questions I ask people on an initial intake is how is this interfering with your life? And
Yep.
the amount that takes to get to the point of doing something about it is
Mhm.
unbelievable. And so where it seems to make a difference is that, a diagnosis.
Mhm.
I can't get on the floor with my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I can't get up off the floor if I am on the floor with my grandchildren, right? And I'm not doing the things that I would want to do because I don't have the energy or I don't feel like it. So that really kind of takes us to the emotional aspect of it as well, is that exercise is a chemistry producing machine.
Yeah. Yes. Great chemistry, right? And that's where I think we're in midlife. We started talking about the middle of the middle, and where every woman who ever goes through midlife is going to be the sandwich generation. I think everybody talked about the boomers or sandwich generation, but every woman who goes through this will be. She'll have younger children potentially. She'll have aging parents or in-laws or other adults older around her that she's taking care of. And then she'll be in the peak of her own career, have a partner, a spouse, or friends who also are beginning to rely on her a little more. And we're caregivers, darn it. I mean,
Right.
we can't stop ourselves. And
Right.
the first thing that slips is taking care of ourselves. And I hate to use this because it's used so much, but it's the oxygen mask first. We're no good to anybody else if we're not taking care of ourselves. And so flipping it is, there's no more powerful health influencer in the world than a midlife woman. We have such an opportunity here.
Yeah,
Your kids, their spouses are watching you and how you age compared to all other adults in their lives.
that's
You're
true.
leaving a legacy. You may like it, you may not like it, but you're leaving one right now. So choose to like it.
We'll get to some questions. I definitely either in the chat or in the question Q&A area. If you have any questions for Deborah, please pop those up, and we'll circle back to those as well. So I do want to talk about your summit because I am very excited about it. It's not really it's not your just a menopause, it's not your 50 plus. We're actually it sounds like extending what the focus point is on that. And I do have your page up, but let's just start with that. Like what's the motivating factor here for this particular summit?
This particular summit is the 2.0. It's, follows on last year's. It was the first gathering where every interview, every session was talking about exercise and protocols, the
Mm,
science behind what do we need to do to get and keep muscle? What do women in midlife and older need to do to get and keep bone density? What was the research? Is the research being currently done? News flashes about what it takes for bone density, like surprises, yoga, surprisingly. And I would have been the first one to resist and poo-poo that. And the science is there and pretty compelling. It's not the only thing you should be doing, but you certainly should, or look closely at doing it if you can't do anything else. But we also talked about brain health significantly last year. So here's what we heard from people who attended, the women who attended and trainers who work with them, is that it's not knowing the protocol for how I get and keep muscle or how I get and keep bone density or the brain health. The biggest obstacle is really mindset on getting motivated, staying motivated because of the way we collectively are thinking about what my expectations are going through menopause, about aging, how we associate at 60, or should I be doing this at my age,
mm-hmm,
and about exercise. So
mm-hmm.
I know not everybody has bonded with exercise. And so it's those three things and pulling it together. So every expert talking about fat loss or muscle or what we want to do for longevity and for now, I also said, in order to come on, I really want you to talk about the mindset piece of this, whether about you personally or about, working with clients. So we nailed that. And there's just fantastic things that actually give me chills to think about. But the research is so compelling that we can potentially make changes in this one short week. If you can change your mindset a little, you could change everything.
Right. Right. I don't generally have webinars very often where I actually have a guest.
Mhm.
It's actually pretty rare. And when you and I first connected, one of the things that really draws me to you is that it is the science, and it is very specific about what you do today makes a difference for not 30 days, 6 months, a year. It's 10 years, 20 years. And it's about lifestyle as well. And those are all the things that I talk about as well, even with skincare and the natural faceless system that everybody's familiar with. It's
Yeah.
exactly spot on. It's what you do today makes a difference for your future. And so are you going to feel great in the process and feel good about how you feel, how you look? Absolutely. That's the bonus and the encouragement part of, keep it going, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think, one of the things that is so great about the position we have is I was thinking about going on hikes with my son and
Hmm.
his, then girlfriend. She's now his fiance, but I was having to wait for them, and the reason we stopped was not me. It was they were not quite able to keep up and ready to turn around. And I think number one, we don't want that to happen. Actually, I don't want that for them. But, I think there's an awareness there of, it's not too late to do anything. It's not too late to be the most energetic one in the room, no matter where you
It's
are right now.
right. And it's not too early
No,
based
right.
on
Yes.
that.
Perfectly said. Yes.
Right. Okay.